Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to the 52nd episode of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian. Joining you as always is myself, Ewan, and my co-host Alan. We do hope you are all well. And on that note, Alan, how are you, my man? You all good?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. The questionable facial hair of last week has only lasted a week, as as I predicted that it would.
Yeah.
Do you know what it was? I watched this after we put it out, and I thought,
You scruffy bastard down.
Exactly. Thanks, mate.
You're so, right, mate. I did the exact same, mate. So it's all good, man. It's all good.
So I thought I would make a wee bit of an effort.
Oh, you look beautiful, Hen. Beautiful. And on that same note as well, the topics for the podcast for this afternoon, as we are recording on a Monday, a day after the tremendous game at Celtic Park. That will be one of the topics that we will be talking about. Not too much in depth because, who wants to talk about a defeat, especially at Celtic Park? But we will touch on the game as such and a bit more, sort of on the sort of more sort of main topics that happened during the game. But we'll be fully focus our attention on the upcoming second leg at Tynecastle for the return leg of our Europa League qualifying knockout round. And of course, we will look to last Thursday's game as well, where we played the first leg, and we'll go through some of the talking points of that as well. And yeah, that is going to be our main sort of topics for this afternoon on the Since I Was Young podcast. So if you are interested, please stick around to hear our shite, watch our shite, and we hope you enjoy it as well. And as always as well, guys, before we get kicked off as well, if you are not subscribed to the Since I Was Young podcast via our YouTube, please think about subscribing and smash that like button as always, because it helps us out massively. And if you want to get in contact with us via our email or our Twitter page as well, all the links will be in the description as well as on screen, so you can fire down there to give us a wee like and subscribe. So as always, guys, thank you very much, and we do hope you enjoy it. So Alan, as we said at the start, we won't talk about this too much, but and I'm going to let you kind of take the lead on this one because I was at work while the game was on. But of course, as we're recording, it's a Monday afternoon, and we were away to Glasgow at Celtic Park more specifically, where we were beat 2-0 by the current champions. The only sort of take that I got from it, and you could probably view it as a positive, is the fact that Ross Stewart only let in 2 goals. So I was quite happy about that. But I guess a point to start off with was I was kind of surprised, but not at the same time. With the Zurich game not too far away, the squad itself. I mean, you said it to me about maybe half an hour before a kickoff, like Robbie is not giving a fuck in the squad sort of the selection. But do you want to take us through, in terms of the squad we put out, and just in terms of the performance, in general, because you watch most of the game as well. So just take us through your thoughts and what it kind of meant in terms of the squad choice, through and for our sort of game throughout this week.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of conversation about the squad selection, what it may or may not have been for the game at Parkhead, because obviously having played the Zurich game on the Thursday and then having to play on the Sunday, there was probably an element of you don't want to go full rotated 11, but at the same time, do we really care that much? Let's write it off as a typical visit to Parkhead. But he went for sort of semi-rotated. He had Ross Stewart, as you mentioned, played in goal. Apparently, Gordon had a little bit of a back spasm or something, which is why he didn't play.
Right.
But he said he'd be fine for Thursday, so that's the main priority, because I think Ross Stewart in goals in a European game would give me nightmares. But he also played Peter Haring, which I was a bit surprised about. I thought Haring might have been one of the ones that would have got rested, but I've got a feeling that, I mean, we'll talk about it later in terms of squad selection for Zurich, but I thought if Haring wasn't going to play at Parkhead, he'd play in the second leg. But the fact he played at Parkhead makes me think we might go with Devlin in there. But who knows? He brought Boyce back into the starting 11. Mackay-Steven played as well. Halliday played in the middle next to Haring. I know, I thought you'd like that one. And
right.
Ginelli played up front in the game. So a few rotated players, but still, like, I mean, he still had Kai Rolls in there. He played Atkinson. He played, obviously, as I say, he played Haring. Forrest played from the start as well. So, and Toby Sibic played as well. So it was a rotated side, but still with some first team players, not going the sort of down the route of playing like a Connor Smith or like a Ewan Henderson, which I think would have been, full rotation rather than just kind of odds and ends. But I was quite pleased to see that lineup that he put out, because I think against Zurich, again, like we'll speak about it in a little while, but there were some things against Zurich I wasn't entirely sure about, but I think in the second leg he's set it up quite nicely with the squad selection he's played today, or not today, against Celtic, sorry. But as I say, you go to Parkhead, what are you going to expect? Hearts, we go there, we go to Glasgow in general, we go Ibrox, we go Parkhead, and we just we don't really do very much. But
that's what
I
it is.
have to be honest. Yeah, but I have to be honest. I actually thought that we weren't that bad. Put it this way, I've seen stronger Hearts 11s go to Parkhead and get run over. And I think that's nice. That's encouraging to think, well, yeah, this team had like Gary Mackay-Steven in it. It had Andy Halliday in it, who doesn't play every week. Ginelli, another one that doesn't play every week. But they did okay. Like, it wasn't the worst performance I've seen us put in at Parkhead. But yeah, as I say, it's the game itself went exactly how you would have expected it to go, to be honest.
Well, exactly, Alan. And like I said, I mean, the fact that one of the more sort of talking points as well, like, like when I looked at at the score on the BBC Sport, the fact that not that we got two players sent off, but the fact that it was in literally 2 minutes, like in terms of like the timing as well. Like, I mean, because when I look back at the highlights, like, with like Cochrane's two sort of revocable offences, okay, like, I mean, like, you could argue that they might have would have been avoided, but hey ho, was it? But you were more kind of a bit more frustrated in the second revocable offence for Civic, in the sense where, obviously, I know you like, in those sort of situations, like, you have to make tactical tackles as such to kind of shut down, was it like the counterattacks, etc. But it was literally like, it wasn't even a bad sort of push, but it was visible. Like, it's like you say, it was just more of a wee push you, and then, but it's the fact that his the reaction to it was like, oh no, I'm like, come on, Toby, son. It was like blatant as day, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's funny because they had, I don't know if you've seen it, but on Sky Sports News, they do the like ref watch for the weekend's games. And if there's like controversial things, and it's, God, his name's just gone completely out of my head. Old Premier League referee, bald guy, can't remember his name, not Howard Webb, but somebody else. Yeah. Anyway, and he was saying that that they were all yellow cards. And I think, to be honest, I think it's right.
No, that's...
They were soft, I'll admit that, but they were stupid ones to do. Cochrane does one where he kind of grabs hold of the guy and sort of tries to sort of push him off the ball, but he's on the touchline, and you're like, why? Like, they said it on that Sky Sports thing. It was like, there's no need for him to do that on that area of the pitch, and Civic's was the same, the stupid little push. Like, it's so frustrating. And I've said this so many times about Toby Sibic that I need to just record myself saying it. I rate him, but I think he is not a centre-back. He is in no way a centre-back. Like, this guy, and there was elements of it in the Zurich game as well, where his positional sense was just all over the place. And that's a worry. That's a worry. But he is a young guy, so there is opportunity for him to obviously get better and learn from the players that he plays with. But yeah, I think it's the more annoying thing about the Civic red card is that Cochrane had only just been sent off before
Literally.
it. So it's like the referee is looking for, I mean, I'm not saying the referee's looking to send somebody else off, but if he's just shown a second yellow to one of your teammates, you're going to think, right, I'm on a yellow. I need to watch myself. If I don't do anything stupid, I'll be all right.
Aye.
And he just decides to do something stupid and just pushes the boy and gets a second yellow. But yeah, it's one of those. I said it to you just before we actually came on that we had something like, I think it was 11 fouls and got 7 yellow cards, and Celtic had 12 fouls and got no bookings at all. So that prompted the Robbie Nielsen, you don't get strong, or you need a strong ref when you come to Glasgow rant that he's become kind of famous for those at the moment. Robbie loves a trip to Glasgow so he can moan about a ref.
Yeah, because that's all he's got, like literally.
Yeah. But in fairness, I mean, I think that, and I said this on Twitter after the game as well, I think we stayed in the game, but at the same time, we had a few moments where we actually looked not that bad, and we were kind of trying, but we just lacked a little bit in the end product, lacked a little bit of that final third. Joe Hart barely had a save to make all day.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go to Parkhead and try and get anything, you have to test the goalkeeper.
Precisely.
And we didn't do that. But again, the main takeaways from the game for me was no injuries, rested a lot of players, and I'm glad we avoided getting a hammering, because if we'd lost that game, even with the rotated side, if we'd lost that game by, say, 5, which could have happened, if we'd lost it heavily, the Hearts players' heads are down and they're thinking, oh God, it's just another trip through at Parkhead and we've been battered again, ahead of a massive Thursday night game that they need to all be fully focused on.
100%.
We saw it with Dundee United. They got pumped by Alkmaar and then came to Tynecastle and got blown away. So, it's that you don't want that to happen to us. And I'm glad that at 2-0, we can at least look at it and say, well, do you know what? We've had worse performances at Parkhead than that.
Absolutely, and it's a nice wee segue to end that. So thank you very much for that, man. But yeah, we look to the main focus, as you said, Alan, because obviously, like you said, we have the return leg on Thursday night, which will hopefully be in front of a packed out Tynecastle under the lights as well, which you have been was lucky enough to actually go. So that'll be amazing, man. But before we do, of course, we'll look back to last Thursday's performance. I mean, I guess it's a kind of a good way to start on it, but I thought the overall performance were good. I mean, again, you can, even though they've not had the best start to their season, they're not the Swiss champions for absolutely nothing at all. But would you agree with what Robbie said at the end of the game, where he thought it was an outstanding performance? I thought we did really well in the sense that we kept it to, was it just a 1 goal the margin to take into the second leg? But at the same time, I thought if we hadn't have got that the penalty, apart from maybe a few chances that we did have, I thought we probably wouldn't have a great chance to actually score a goal, because the only kind of chance that kind of popped out was the Jorge the Grant sort of chance. So yeah. Would you agree that it was an outstanding performance?
I don't know if I'd say outstanding. I'd say good, or average to good, I would say. But I think, and this is what I interpreted the outstanding comment as being, that obviously as the game went on, you could tell right before the game, all the talk was about, how's he going to set up? I just said about Celtic, how's he going to set up the team? What's he going to do? Because Robbie spent pretty much the whole week of the build-up talking about going over there to bring a result back. And how you then look at that is, okay, is he going to go there and field the best possible team that he can in my opinion, in the 4-2-3-1, what we played against Dundee United?
Yeah.
Or is he going to go and switch it back to the 2 wing backs with Cochrane and either Atkinson or Michael Smith, depending on who was going to play, and try and not sit in. But I just think that he chose to try and go and contain it and try and sort of come away with a draw. I think that would have been the ideal scenario for Robbie.
Yeah.
Come away with a draw, and take your chances at home. But I don't blame him for the way he set up.
No.
I genuinely don't. I think was the right thing to do, because you've just said it yourself. Like, they're not Swiss champions for nothing. They are a good team. They showed they were a good team. I think we can get at them, but in that first leg, I would say they were the better side. And
for sure.
On another day, they do score 2 or 3 more goals. They missed some big opportunities. I think that Donis Abdijay had a couple. I'm delighted he didn't get one. But
little wee fucking moaning wee rat, honestly. Dude.
He had a couple of chances that, by his standards, maybe he should put away. But yeah, it's funny because they were speaking at halftime of the game, and it was Ryan McGowan, actually, who said when we went 1-0 up with a penalty, it was almost like we didn't know what to do after that. Like
100%, yeah, 100%
react, and I thought that was bang on. I was like,
yeah,
he's nailed it, because I think the game plan was to sit in and defend and not sit in and defend, but be solid, basically. And I think when we got the penalty, which was 100% a penalty, Atkinson got absolutely, I think he got stepped on and kicked or something.
I mean, like, in terms of the penalties, was it sorry to was it interrupt, Alan? But I mean,
fire away,
because obviously, who was it? It was James McFadden that was commentating as well. I mean, to be fair, I mean, he does tread on his foot quite a lot during it, but like, there was so much with it confusion as well, because I genuinely didn't know if the referee thought it was a dive, or like if he just stopped play, just a little was a like attend to him. But 100%, you take that all day. And just in terms of the penalty itself, like, I'm like, for all those weeks I thought, Lawrence fucking Shanklin, he's no that $500,000. I get the fuck no this and that, but he's really starting to turn it on, mate. Like, 3 goals in 3 games. Like, what I mean? Like he's there. Was it to do what he's been brought in to actually do? And man, to fair play on him.
Yeah, he's doing it. I'll just comment on Nathaniel Atkinson, because he got a lot of, shall we say, not bad press, but he got a lot of negativity after the Zurich game, and he wasn't at his best by any means. He's clearly somebody that needs to develop the defensive side of his game. I think we've seen
of course, yeah.
Virtually every time he plays, he has a defensive error in him, which for a defender is not a good thing. But somebody actually said it to me, and I think it's bang on. He's so much more effective in the opposition box than he is in our own box.
Yeah, true.
His forward movement, his runs, that's why we've brought him in, for that system, to be that wing back player. And he does well to win the penalty. He didn't do so well for the first Zurich goal. Just a long ball over the top. Obviously, Hauke had gone off with an injury at this point, which was a real blow for us.
Oh, it was a massive blow.
Yeah, I felt like when he went off, it was like there was a bit of me that was like, all right, this is going to be a long night now, and it was. I think the thing about Hauke that I'll say is a genuine thing. I think he's a fantastic defender. I think he's a leader at the back for us. I think he organises them. I'm slightly concerned about the number of injuries.
Yeah,
that quite quietly.
Like, Alan, like, you're absolutely right, because what caused it, like, I mean, it was only him trying to clear a ball, and it didn't look anything bad. It didn't look anything horrible, but
yeah.
But like you said, like, as soon as it started, I was like, oh, for fuck. Like, literally, just that reaction fight, right? This will be a long night now, eh?
Yeah, it is. And I think, like I say, Halkett's fantastic. Like, he's probably our best, well, not probably, he is our best centre-back. But the little injuries he's picking up are starting to concern me a little bit. Just starting to. As I say, I'll say it quietly. I still have absolute faith in him, and I still think he's a fantastic defender. But there is an element of thinking, if our backup centre back is Toby Sibic, I'm slightly worried about that. But
Yeah.
no, as I say, back to the Zurich goal with the first one. It was a long ball.
Yeah.
Atkinson gets lost under it. He gets lost under it. The Zurich boy just controls it brilliantly and half volleys it in. I think it was a half volley or a full on volley.
To be fair, it was a really, really good goal. Like, I mean, you could argue that Craig Gordon could have done better, but in terms of the power and the speed of that shot, it was a really good goal.
Yeah, I think it was past him before he could do anything about it. But I think, as I say, Atkinson gets lost under the ball. But they showed it again after the game, and it was the three centre backs, because obviously we were playing with back three at that point. All of them were so close together in the middle of the pitch, and nobody went out to help Atkinson. Nobody went to read that ball and get a head on it first of all. And I think, I mean, I'm not saying he would have, but Halkett might have. You know, it's
who knows?
But look, it's sod's law. It was a really good finish though from the Zurich boy, and to be honest, a draw at that point was probably fair. Like, obviously we got the penalty, we went 1-0 up, but the penalty was kind of against the run of play anyway. So
precisely.
Yeah, a few defensive mistakes, but as I say, Atkinson, people that listen to this and people that, you know, watch me or listen to me on Twitter talking absolute nonsense know that I'm an Atkinson fan. But I will acknowledge that he needs to work on his defensive side of his game if he's going to make a success of it, or we play him further forward and just tell him, you're not a defender anymore. Because you know, that could be an option. I get you, it genuinely could be an option, but yeah, they were sloppy goals to give away, put it that way.
Well, exactly, Alex. I mean, truth be told, I didn't actually see the second goal because I went through, like, was it out to the other room, because it happened like again in such a short space of time. I mean, was it in terms of the defensive structure? Was it kind of much of the same? Where we just didn't? Was it switch on or?
Yeah, it was a ball that came in and it could have been cleared, but it wasn't. Peter Haring gets a toe on it, but obviously not enough to, you know, to control it and get it away. And the Zurich just falls to them. And again, it's another good finish. It's another good finish, to be fair. But yeah, like it was, and I think at that point it was a massive kind of like sucker punch for us, because we're like, hang on a minute, you know, 5 minutes ago we were winning 1-0 and now we're 2-1 down. This is not what we planned. But yeah, I mean, it was really, really annoying. But at the same time, Zurich were, as I said, Zurich were the better team in the first leg, and I think a win for them is fair.
Agreed.
Then obviously second half, we kind of made it a bit more of a scrap in the second half. We had a little bit more of the ball. We were trying things, but it just wasn't quite happening. Zurich had multiple chances again. Gordon made a couple of really good saves, as Craig Gordon does. But yeah, I think at 2-1, we were kind of just sort of thinking, right, if we can see this out, this is still manageable, you know. I have to say as well, there was a point in the second half when Toby Sibic got moved out to right back because they switched the system around a little bit, and he actually looked not bad. He looked a lot better there than he did in centre back, so it could be an option as well. But yeah, I think in terms of the second half, we kind of settled down and thought, right, let's not make this worse. You know, we've got a goal, we're still in it, and I think just to sort of look back to what we said at the start about Robbie and his outstanding comments, I think that was in relation to the situation that we were in. I think without Halkett, who, as I say, is one of our leaders in that team, without him and that sort of defensive organisation that he brings, I'm not going to say it was an outstanding way to end the game, but it was a battle, and we stayed in it. We stayed in it. Didn't get, you know, because it could have quite easily been 3 or 4 for Zurich.
100%.
Which then, you know, the problem with that would have been the second leg's virtually meaningless, you know, with only 1 goal in it. You just never know. You just never know.
There's a massive chance, Alan. Like, look, like, I mean, yeah. Like, I thought we did okay in terms of the second half to kind of shut out Zurich as well. Like I said as well, they had a few chances, like, you know, for themselves. Like, I think apart from the boys half chance, like, you know, like like we didn't have much actually there. But look, I mean, you've got to look at it in the positives, like I mean, and I'm saying it specifically from a Hearts perspective, like there. I mean, I would say outright, like in terms of the UK as a whole, we probably got one of the most intimidating the grounds, like out there. Just in the fact that the fans are literally right at you, like it's a tight pitch, like it's a tight space, and it's a full Tynecastle. The place is bouncing. Obviously, like I mean, Zurich fans will probably was it to travel across as well, but in comparison to our fans, like of course, will be absolutely bouncing. So I think in retrospect, I think the fact that it's 2-1 and we know that we can get at them in parts, like of course, I think it sets us up for a good chance as well. And plus, because of the like the away the goals as well, where they're being scrapped as well. Obviously we would like to see the game done in there, dusty the like sort of after 90 minutes, but even just to score a goal to take it into like sort of extra time to give us that chance. Like, I mean, yeah. I think it's. I mean, you're saying it's like it is. Was it doable? I think it's more than doable. And I'm just literally just was about it down to the fact that it'll be in front of a packed out. Was it Tynie? And I think that gives us a massive like advantage.
I think you're right, to be honest. I think the fact that it's midweek evening kickoff, there will be 20 or close to 20,000 fans in Tynecastle. And I said this again, we need to make it loud. It needs to be loud. It needs to be, because I've been to games at Tynecastle where, and everybody says this, everybody's got their same stories where Tynecastle, you start the game, everybody's singing for 5 minutes, and then you settle down, and then you watch the game, and then you get a bit, it dies down, shall we say. That cannot happen. That cannot happen against Zurich. But the team have to give us something, know, and that for me is the most important thing. I said it when we were speaking about Celtic. Some of the squad selections for the Celtic game highlight potentially some of the players that will start against Zurich. Michael Smith didn't start against Celtic. I feel like he might. I feel like he might play.
Mr. Consistent as always, and I'll never say a bad word about Smith, but you can tell that even when he came on, for the first, like he just couldn't handle those players they're coming in from the far right.
But at the same time, I think Smith is more stable and less likely to make a mistake than Atkinson is. That's my point. That's my takeaway. Yeah. And I think Michael Smith is Mr. Consistent, and I think recently we're seeing that again. We're seeing that this is a guy that can come in and do a job, and that's what you want. That's what you want from Michael Smith, and he does it. He's. But again, it's like I said about Kai Rolls last week. It's no nonsense. It's
just fucking
do the basics done and dusted. And do them. Yeah, do the basics and do them properly and do them well. That's what you want. And I think it is possible that we can get a result, but we have to remember Zurich are a very good team, so it's not as guaranteed as we'd like it to be.
Of course, Alan. But again, I mean, much as you like, I mean, I've got a bit more sort of positiveness about this. I don't know why. I think genuinely was it like I know I've said it quite a few times, but I genuinely think that the fact is that Tynecastle, floodlights, packed out stadium, I genuinely think that that'll be a massive advantage. And to be fair, I think I wouldn't put it past us. Like I think we've got just as much of a chance as we have now with the scoreline that it was, just in the same sense, like if we came back with a draw, I think I've got a good chance.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I know that we've not scored a goal in terms of like of a like through a hope and was it the player that, but I think in terms because our pitch is relatively smaller than most pitches in Europe, like sort of pretty much again, we know how to play it, like you know what I mean. So
yeah.
And well, like I mean, in that same sense, Alan, before we wrap things up, I mean, is there any kind of changes or any sort of setups or specific the players you'd like to see in the team?
I want them to play virtually the same lineup that we saw against Dundee United. I want us to go 4-2-3-1. I want us to get our best attackers on the pitch all at once. And I want us to have a goal, but also you've got to be responsible, because if we have a goal, we leave ourselves open to them getting another goal. And the thing is, it's cliche, but if Zurich score the first goal,
I think it's done, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what you want to try and avoid. But like I said, there's an element of we've got the fan base to make noise. Midweek, everybody will be in the pub beforehand. So if you're sober enough, just get in. just go. Just go. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I'm absolutely buzzing. I'm gutted that you won't be there with me, but I'm absolutely buzzing for it. And
I'll be there in spirit, mate. Don't worry.
It's one of those, and I said it to a friend, and he actually made a really good point. I don't want Robbie to treat the fact that we've got the Conference League as a backup, as like a comfort blanket, And he actually said, and he nailed it. He says the Europa League is the 10 that you chase around the nightclub all night. The Conference League is the 4 that you go home with at the end. And I was like, do you know what, mate? That's it. That's it. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Such a crude, but I can understand what
you chase the 10, and then you settle for the 4. That's the mindset that I'm going with at the moment. So
fucking hell.
I'd love us to go home. I'd love us to go home with a 10. I'd love us to go home with a 10 and go into the Europa League and play some glamorous ties in that. But if it's Conference League, it's going to be Conference League. But we'll see. Look, it's anybody's game, and we're still in it, so we've got a chance. Let's see.
Absolutely, Alan. Well, just to finally wrap things off, in your heart of hearts, what is going to be your scoreline for Thursday night?
Oh, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to the Heart of Midlothian.
Ooh, interesting. And so do you fit? So in that same sense, so that would be a 3-3 sort of aggregate score. So then it would go into extra time, eh? So you've got to kind of.
I was hoping you weren't going to realise,
mate. I know I'm not that smart, mate, but like, come on now. I know that maths is not my strong point, but like,
Yeah, I think we'll win. I think we'll get through.
Fair enough.
I think we'll get through.
I'm going to be a bit more optimistic in that, and I'm going to go for a 2-0 win, and then just wrap it off. 2-0 win, mate. If you're going to, I'm never a fan of when Robbie does this, but by some sort of great hope that if we do manage to get 2 goals in the first half, mate, you can create a fucking wall of 10 right at the back and sit as deep as much as you want. I will let that slide for one game, absolutely. But
just line them up on the goal line.
Just line them up. Just line them up. Did you say right? You can fucking come at us. You can then put Halliday on. He'll just fire at folk. You can put Janelli. Christ, put Ross Stewart and Craig Gordon in the same fucking goal. Mate, I'll be happy with that. You know what I mean?
I will say, if Andy Halliday scores, I'll go on the pitch.
Mate, there will be a mess like no other in my flat, literally, and I'm like, and I won't actually say what the kind of mess that will be, but generally there would be a Halliday mess. Around that, mate. So, and on that note, let's end it there. Actually, I
can't go any lower than that.
Can't go. Well, I probably could, but let's not go there. But
let's not.
On that same note as well, guys, we would love to hear what your the predictions will be for this week's game against FC Zurich in the second leg. What your scores the predictions will be, and what players or what structures you would like to see in place for that. So we would love to hear all your chat via the Twitter page and the YouTube comments. So we look forward to hearing from yourselves. But yes, as always, thank you very much from myself and Alan. It is always greatly appreciated for all the views and the comments as well. And as always, like we said at the start, if you aren't subscribed to the Since I Was Young YouTube page, please think about subscribing and smash that like button as well. And if you aren't was it subscribed to the Twitter page as well, which is pretty much run by Alan, because I'm still no clue how to work it. Please fire us a like on there, and if you want to get in contact with us via our email and our Instagram, etc., all the links will be in the description as well. So Alan, thank you very much for joining me on this kind of alright the Monday afternoon in terms of the weather. And like I said at the start, I hope you have a fabulous time, and to the rest of the Hearts fans on Thursday night. And let's hope we come back with a massive 10 on Thursday. So from myself and Alan, thank you very much again, and we will see you next week. You take care. Bye for now.